morning, everybody. Good morning. We are in Bangkok today. We arrived, it's 10 a.m. and I didn't sleep very well. Nor did Thoth. This is our little room that we have for the night. A couple of nights, actually. Hello. We're in Bangkok. This is our little space. Didn't have the best sleep in the world last night because the bed is like a rock, unfortunately. But it's interesting being in a new place. Who are you? So long since I've seen you two. Who are you? Tell me who you are. Tell me how you know us. I love hearing about that. I love hearing how people know us, how people have discovered us or how they found us online. It's a very interesting aspect of... so a lot of people follow us on here that saw us a decade ago in various circumstances, and I always find it so interesting. I met on the train one day. You gave me a CD. Oh my God. A CD? That's probably at least 7 or 8 years ago.
Antique.
Who? That's an antique now. Do you still have it?
We don't have any of our CDs.
No, we don't have any of our CDs anymore.
They're all digital.
Yeah, it's all digital, sitting on our computer somewhere. We actually stopped making albums a long time ago when we stopped being able to sell them in public, which is unfortunate because we actually have recorded a lot of music. CDs don't exist anymore. Not even CD players exist anymore. I remember when I was a kid, I was a little teenager, teeny bopper, and we'd go on planes and stuff, and I would bring this huge stack of CDs, and my little CD player, and that was the only way I could listen to music. Whereas now you have a phone, and Spotify. And lots of people have told us to put our music on. Well, not a lot, but people have suggested we put our music on Spotify, and I've not gotten around to it yet. To be honest, it's just more work.
People don't really ask anymore.
And nobody asks anymore. It's the strangest thing. Like, people don't ask about our music. People don't say, where can I hear your music? It seems like for now people are satisfied to just see clips of us playing on Instagram and on our YouTube channel. I try to share as much of our performances as I possibly can. But yeah, so I would like to create a Spotify page, but I do have issues about the whole Spotify thing, as you might imagine, because Spotify is a big corporation and they really don't pay artists, And there was a time in which music was something that you bought and paid for, and it was worth something, and it was a valuable thing. A CD would be between $15 and $17, I remember. Yeah, they don't pay anymore. It's very strange. And ever since that happened...
Musicians are beggars now.
Yeah, musician, Oh, they're so cute. He says things he's over there talking, but he's here. If you have a question for Thoth, just write it down and he'll come over and answer. Or anything you'd like to say to Thoth. He's right over there. The whole way that music has changed, and music is no longer something that people want to pay for. It's really changed the way that our music reaches the world. I mean, we used to go eye to eye with people, and we would play our music, people would love it, and then people would purchase an album from us directly, eye to eye, and would directly be helping us to continue to do our work. And there were times in Lisbon initially, the first year in 2009, 2010, where we would sell, 12, 15 albums in one performance, Those were the days, right? That was when we could actually make a living. It was a very different time back then. Hello, thank you for joining. So things have changed, and things change. That's the way life is. but I think we've been slow on the uptake with the change of social media and all of that. Because, for example, I had this Instagram page existing for quite a while before I ever posted anything on it. And we had a lot of people following us that had been seeing us over the years in various places. And for a long time, I didn't really see social media as being of any use. And I did share. I'd had a blog for a long time that I shared very intense, honest, painful look into the sufferings that we went through back when we were trying to sell CDs and play in public and make a living that way, and it was so difficult. But some people really related to that. Some people really related to that time that I was sharing the raw, my guts spilled out on the floor kind of sharing, of writing about what was happening. And but back then I really saw social media as something like all the work that I put into social media was something that I wasn't really getting anything out of. It's not something I was going to make a living doing. And I've been sharing online for over 15 years, and it's connected people with us, but it's only now that I'm really starting to see the value of it, because we're not playing in the same way in public in the way that we used to. And so really the way that a lot of people see us now is through Instagram and through YouTube. And I'm seeing the value of that it is important for us to continue to share, because society is a fucked up thing, and it's not something I really necessarily even want to be a part of, to be honest. I shared a couple of these live streams on our YouTube channel recently, and a lot of people came forward and were saying thank you so much for sharing and being appreciative of that. And I, really seeing the value in it. And social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all these things are actually quite toxic, as anyone who is a sensitive, creative, artistic being knows that it is a toxic thing. And it can be very mind-numbing, and where people just sit there and scroll all day long, and people just sit and click on YouTube videos all day. And most people do this. They just kind of use the internet to block off the world and not really interact with the world anymore, and and just fuck off. My twin sister does this, unfortunately. She's very unwell for that reason, and it's been very hard to watch my sister just being sucked into the computer and not really ever being able to get out. But all of that said, yes, it's toxic. Yes, it is kind of a disgusting thing that is happening in the world, but it can be used for good, and it can be used to share the beauty of our lives. And I think that's really, really important, actually. So I'm doing that, and I think it's important, and it's a lot of work for me, in addition to everything else that I do. But it's something that I find joy in it, and I find the most joy in it when there is a connection with other people, when people watch, when people comment, when people share with me and with Thoth. And I read all the comments that people leave, which is nice. So something I wanted to talk about today was that one of the people who've been following us for a long time said that I constantly talk about how that we are human beings, and that by sharing online that I'm trying to kind of highlight the fact that we are human beings who do a beautiful creative thing. And but then at other times I say that we are aliens and we don't really relate to anything in this world at all. And both of those things are true at the same time. It's very strange. For example, almost every aspect of the way that we live and the way that we are as people is very alien and very strange. And I'm only realizing this now that I'm older. And you can use that other chair if you want to. Thoth is over here working. Say hi?
That light?
Yeah, just...
It's a little star over there.
It is a star. So, the nature of us being these little alien creatures who kind of have to interact with the world, it's really, it's like the way that Thoth and I interrelate with each other. We have a very interesting way of relating to each other as a couple. I'm 35 years old in Earth years, and he's 69. And that's the largest age gap I've ever seen in a couple of anyone I've ever met. I've seen people, with 20 years separation, and even I am like, oh wow, that's a large separation of time. But then I think of Thoth and me, and we are. I mean, one could say I'm a child in relation to Thoth, and that's actually never affected our ability to interact with each other and connect with each other and see things on the same level. I've always seen myself as an old soul, as someone who, has been through a lot more than my years make it seem. I've been through a lot, and especially in the last 15 years, but all throughout my life, I've gone through very painful shit and of feeling isolated and feeling misunderstood, and that's gone through the entire gamut of my life, not just since I've been performing with Thoth. It's always been that way. I actually won most individualistic in the senior year of my high school class, which completely shocked me because I had spent basically 15 years in school thinking that no one even noticed me other than to just mock me, make fun of me, and make my life a living hell. And then all of a sudden, I won most individualistic, which I think is the best little accolade to win. It's prettiest, most likely to succeed. My cousin actually won most dramatic, which was funny, because he is. I have some couple strange cousins as well. So, yeah, it was very strange to suddenly feel recognized, and I really do think that most individualistic is probably the best accolade you can get in your school years and in general, and it's held true for me forever. I've always known who I am. I've always known who I was, even back when I was 10 years old, 12 years old, 15 years old. I always knew that I was an artist, and no one was ever going to stop me from being who I am. And and so the way that Thoth and I are together is just really, really unusual. And what's interesting for me is that it's only been as I've gotten older that I've really realized that, because the way that Thoth and I are together is normal to me. Sorry, I'm still clearing crap out of my lungs. I've been, when I met Thoth, I was 20 years old, and I'd never been with anybody else. So I didn't know that the way we were together was really strange. And in the last decade or more of time, every plane I've been on, every city I've been in, every place I've gone, I've noticed how there's nobody like us anywhere. Not anywhere. It's not like we find other people that are like us. We find people that can relate to us. We find people that we can relate to, people that love us and accept us for the way we are. But in regards to meeting people that are like us, there's nobody like us anywhere in the world. And even even as we're now in Southeast Asia, there's nobody like us in Southeast Asia either. Most people are very down the center lane. Most everybody does the same thing, looks very similar. And we're not trying to be anything. Like, I'm not trying to be weird, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to be unusual. I'm just being me. And someone else left a comment recently on the YouTube channel saying, they said, why your music is really beautiful. Why do you feel the need for these costumes, these strange outfits? And I said, I can't be anything but me. I can't not be me. And I would never not be me. And not in any place we've ever been have I been anything other than me. I never try to fit in or try to be, kind of tone myself down. I never do that. And nor does Thoth. I would say, particularly when we're in more conservative countries, like when we were in Plovdiv, Bulgaria, when we were in Sofia, Bulgaria, when we were in Bucharest, Romania, when we were in Istanbul, Turkey. These, they're very Eastern European, very conservative countries. We didn't try to be anything less than we are, and we actually feel a desire to, I don't want to say push the boundaries, but people's conservativeness around us kind of causes us to want to be even more ourselves. Because when we're in a country or in a city that's very bland and very kind of monochrome, then we like to bring color to that world. And I remember even 15 years ago, just had the memory of 15 years ago, someone said to me when I was walking around Central Park, around the Angel Tunnel, and they said, you bringing this light, this light, colorful, and it was very cold. I remember it was very cold, and it's winter time. And I'm very, whenever we were in really cold parts of the world, I was very adamant about making sure I had warm clothes that were colorful, and it's actually quite difficult to find colorful warm clothes. But I made sure to have like pink jackets and light baby blue gloves and all these really colorful things so that I could. And it's not a drawing attention to myself. It's never been about that. It's always been about just being myself. And the thing that makes me the most happy is being colorful. Like, for example, I'm just looking at this little thing I made the other day. I found these beautiful little pom-poms, and in a Thai kind of crafts shop, and then taking all these little earrings that we bought and little pendants and shit and just attaching them. And I love doing that. I love just making clothes, and that's actually an aspect of being in one place that I'm looking forward to, is being able to make clothes again. When we were in San Francisco, when we were stuck in San Francisco during the pandemic, that's something that I did and I really enjoyed doing. I made some really beautiful pieces of clothing, and I had to give up some. I had to leave some with my father, some tops that I'd made that were too heavy and too things that I probably can't wear when we're in these hotter parts of the world. But that's something I really want to do when we're in Bali, when we move back to Bali, is get a sewing machine and start making clothes again, because that's something that gives me a lot of joy. And I really thought Thoth is a big inspiration for me for that, because he's always fabulous. I always tease him about it, that excuse me, I always kind of tease him about it, that he gets dressed up just to go kind of take the trash out, he puts on a beautiful dress and a bunch of jewelry and stuff, and just to go out, or not even to go out. He'll get all dressed up just to walk around the house. And Thoth has always been a big inspiration for me, for the way I, dressing up and continuing to be my fabulous self, because he is no matter what. And I have a memory of when my mother said to me when I was young, when I was 10, 15, and I was dressing like a clown every day and dressing up, and she said to me, "You'll get over this someday. One of these days you'll stop dressing up so much. You'll realize that, it's too much work and all of that." And I remember saying to her, "No, Mom, I'm always going to be fabulous, and I'm always going to be creative. You'll see. I'll show you." And I did. And what's funny is that my mother was a hippie. My mother was a major crazy hippie. Bunny, can you get me a tissue, please? And my water. My mother was a crazy hippie. And recently, in the last couple of years, I had to go home to Nashville and clear out her house. And it was amazing to see all these photos and videos of her singing so beautifully. My mother was an amazing singer. She had not the same kind of not the same kind of high voice like me, like really high voice. Excuse me. My mother didn't have the same kind of super high coloratura soprano whistle tone voice like I do. But she was very, very gifted and had this amazing gift, and it was very hard for me to watch her kind of become a very sad, depressed, overweight person, in the same way that my poor sister has. It seems like the world can really just pull you down, and I've been really lucky to have someone who helps me keep going. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't find Thoth, because I cling to Thoth because for that reason, because he's just so, he's so my sweetie, and he's the one who holds me up when I get sad, and takes care of me when I'm sick, and holds me when I cry, and just takes good care of me. And he took care of me and helped me, and does still for a really long time. And he's never abandoned me. And it's not like Thoth and I haven't had trouble. It's not like we haven't had times of difficulty. We never fight, if anybody's wondering. Thoth and I never fight. In 15 years, we've never had a fight. Well, actually, we did have one little, what one might say, a kind of a fight once, when we were in, we went to Sayulita in Mexico. We took a little trip up to Sayulita, which is a beautiful little town a few hours north of Puerto Vallarta. We visited Puerto Vallarta initially in August of 2023, and then we went back to San Francisco and did some gigs, and then we came back, and we're in Puerto Vallarta again, and then we went on a little kind of trip for a couple of days to Sayulita. And Thoth was in Afterglow. If anybody who's been following us for a while might understand what Afterglow is, when he has his seizures every 2 months or so, he goes into this ecstatic state after the seizures are over, and he's quite out of his mind for a while, and it's pretty intense to deal with, to be honest. It's almost like he's on drugs, but he's not on drugs. But it was particularly intense this time when we were in Sayulita, because he was just in this ecstatic state, and we were in this beautiful place, and he was just just going crazy, running around and dancing. I actually posted some videos of him dancing in his little skimpy, in this little outfit that he wears. Bunny, do you mind me talking about you while you're here? You don't care?
I don't.
He's a cutie. I'm just checking. Yeah, and it was. I'm very protective of him as he is of me. I think the true sign of love is we are always worrying about each other. We try not to, but it's hard because we're the only two. We're traveling all over the world. And hi, April. Good to see you. We travel all over the world, and we're the only two. We have each other. We're the only two that have each other. So we've been through. I've been through some shit. So I think initially our bond our bond initially started through music, and just like, wow, we can play this beautiful music together, and how amazing. And then we went through some hell when we first were in Europe. So I think it kind of turned into a trauma bond for a while, and then it has evolved into more of a, we're our own two people, and we love each other and take care of each other. Hi, April. Thanks for listening. So, yeah, like an example of a traumatic experience we had was in Paris in Thanksgiving 2009. Thanksgiving 2009, we got trapped in Paris overnight. It was one of the scariest things we've ever been through together. We had just started traveling.
Until recently.
Right. It was actually one of the most traumatic travel experiences since this recent experience we had, getting pulled aside by immigration in Bali. That was really so we had taken a train. We had gotten these 3-month train passes when we first flew to Amsterdam, and Thoth had kind of like a vague idea of wanting to kind of retrace the places he'd been to. Amsterdam, he'd played in Barcelona many years prior and had a really positive experience there. Back when Barcelona, you could busk anywhere you wanted to, and it was just like the city of buskers and the most incredible thing. So we were on the way on our train ride to Barcelona from Amsterdam, but sadly we didn't actually know how the trains worked back then, and trains stop running at midnight, and that's how it used to be anyway. And so we got stuck. And Thoth was actually starting to get sick. It was horrifying. He was starting to get sick. We landed in Paris at midnight, and then we were going to catch the next train to Barcelona, which would be an overnight train. And there was no train. The train station was closed. And it was like, I think about it, it's like my guts start to turn around and my head starts to spin. It was a horrifying experience. And we were all alone. We didn't have any friends. We didn't have any like connections or anybody we could call to ask for help. I didn't have a phone. It's like we didn't really have any money, or we didn't have enough money to like figure out the issue at hand. And so we just wandered around with these incredibly heavy suitcases for a few hours, trying to see if we could find a place to stay overnight. And of course all the hotels were booked because it's Paris. And so we just went under a bridge and sat there all night in the freezing. It was freezing cold. It was dark. It was just like, what are we doing here? This is terrifying. And it's making me sweat just thinking about it. And then the next morning, Thoth. I'm going to write this all down in the book that I write. But the next morning, Thoth had basically stayed up all night just like this, just staring straight forward, watching over me like a hawk. And I think I'd laid down for a minute. I don't think I really could, there was no sleeping involved, which was so delirious and so scary. But I think I'd gone over in the corner to pee or something, and then I came back and he wasn't there all of a sudden. And I was just absolutely terrified and all alone in Paris. Very little money, no nothing, no phone, no way to contact anyone. And he wasn't there. And, within maybe 5 seconds, he peeks around the corner and says, "I smell bread." And I'm just like, "What are you doing? You idiot." I was so angry at him because he just left me. And he'd just gone around the corner because he smelled bread because he was hungry. It was horrible. We didn't find the bread, but we went back to the train station and we sat there in the train station for hours trying to sleep on the floor somewhere. And of course we couldn't. And there's thousands of people going by, completely ignoring us, and just felt like little street urchins. It was horrible. So I'm telling the story of our time being stranded in Paris in 2009. One of the scariest travel experiences we've had since our recent experience in leaving Bali. So yeah, it was. So we're lying there in the middle of the train station, and there's this horrifying sound that comes on every 10 minutes or something. It was something that's notifying people that a train is coming or going or whatever. And it was just this very jarring. I'm very glad I don't remember the sound, but actually recently, when we were going through Paris, we heard the sound again, and we're like, "Oh my God, it's that sound!" Oh, just so much PTSD from that particular sound. You know how that happens. You get triggered by sounds or whatever. But that was going on for hours. We're just sitting in the train station hearing this horrifying, repetitive sound. And both Thoth and I are, of course, deeply sensitive to noise and sound. And I'm particularly sensitive to repetitive sounds. If something repeats, then I'm kind of sitting there waiting for the sound to come back again. And it was just a recipe for insanity. And I remember Thoth started like pacing back and forth, because he couldn't sleep and there was nothing to do. That happened a couple of times actually, where he would pace when things went wrong. It was pretty terrifying to watch him pace. Because I couldn't do anything. I was completely helpless. Couldn't help him. And I loved him in the same way I love him now. The love is different because I was a child, basically. I was 21 years old, as opposed to being 35. We'd also basically just gotten together, I would say we knew each other very well, and we'd been through, getting arrested together and playing together every day and going through fighting with the Afrobats and all of this crap. But, we'd only just really gotten together, you could say. The truth is, Thoth and I really never dated. It was always that we were just together, and then we were married, We were joking about it the other day, that was saying that there was a time in which he would call me his friend, and I would get so offended. He would say, "I'm not your friend. I'm your sweetie." So, is that funny? So then we of course we couldn't sleep. So we ended up getting up and just wandering around Paris for several hours. We were able to put our bags away in this little, place where we could pay a little money and store our bags for several hours. And we went to see if we could get our train tickets to Paris. And even though we had these 3-month ticket passes, we weren't able to actually. It was going to cost us an extra $100 a pop just to get on this night train to Barcelona. And back then, $100 was like life and death, And so I had to pay it. We had to pay it, and then we just wandered around Paris. And I tried to email my family and tell them what was happening. I didn't want to scare anybody. I really tried my best not to scare my family because we went through some shit, and I tried not to like panic my family, because there was nothing they could do. And I pride myself actually on I never asked my family for money, never asked anybody for money or for help. There was a friend of ours when we were stuck in Marrakesh who helped me for a minute, who's still a friend of ours. So yeah, it was just the eeriest thing. I remember sitting in a cafe in Paris with Thoth, and we had a nice little lunch. We had like salmon sandwiches or something. They were really good, of course, because food in Paris is delicious. But Thoth's just sitting there being as pessimistic and sarcastic as I've ever seen him. It's just, I was in shock how he was talking. It was like the most terrifying. We're in Bangkok right now. Sorry I didn't get to do a live stream yesterday. We were flying to Bangkok. Didn't get a very good sleep last night. So it was one of the eeriest moments, just sitting in this cafe in Paris. I'm telling the story of us being stranded in Paris in 2009. Travel horror story. I don't know how it got to this, that I started talking about this. So it was just the eeriest thing, just sitting there across from him and hearing him just say, "This is great. This is like, I've always wanted this. I always wanted to be like homeless in Paris. And I've given up my whole life to do this. This is fabulous." And so sarcastic and so negative. I'd never seen him like that in my life. And I just felt so meek and so helpless, and so I couldn't do anything. I didn't have the money to get us a hotel or give us a place to sleep, but we ended up going around and seeing parts of Paris in this sleep-deprived state. It was the eeriest thing. There's thousands of people wandering around the city, and we're just like, ugh. Scared and alone and hungry and fucked up. And we managed to get the train to Barcelona that night, but I think we didn't sleep that night on the train to Barcelona. I was talking about how we almost had a fight. I didn't finish that story. Thank you for keeping me on track. So another story is the time we almost had a fight, or we did have a fight. That's so funny. I totally got sidetracked. Thank you. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate that. So, yeah, the one time we had a fight, I think I finished the story about Paris, but the one time we had a fight, we'd gone to Ilapa. I get sidetracked, don't I? I really do. Just because it's basically I have 15 years of stories that I've never told, like actually told an audience, and so it just thrills me to have people paying attention to these stories, because they're amazing stories, and I've told people, I've told friends, but not our audience, not our fans. So the time I think I'm telling like stories about, scary things that have happened to us, I guess. Thank you for hanging in there. So the time we almost had a fight was in Yalapa, and that was last year in probably like November of last year. Thank you so much. Thank you for being interested and listening. So Thoth was in this after... God, I can't believe I got so sidetracked. I'm sorry, Sayulita. That was Sayulita. So he was in this afterglow state, this very high, natural high that comes after the seizures. And it was a bit much for me, because I really was, to be honest, I was really just wanting to have a relaxing, sweet time together. I was just wanting to have a little vacation, one could say. Just, wander around and eat good food and look at stuff. Just like regular people, And of course, we're not regular people, and Thoth is not a regular person, so he was jumping around and dancing everywhere. He's right here. Thoth's right here. Say hi, Thoth. People are asking where you are. He's listening. If you have anything you want to ask him or anything, feel free, and he'll come over. He's drawing right now. So where was I? So yeah, I was just, when we were in Sayulita, I was just in the state of really just wanting to relax, just wanting to have a nice kind of vacation type experience. And he was ecstatic. He was crazy. And if you've been following us on the Instagram page for a while, you saw that. I shared videos of him jumping around and dancing in Sayulita, and I got a really beautiful pair of earrings there that he encouraged me to get. Yeah, yes, I'll show you my drawings. I'd only have one with me right now because we're in Bangkok, but I'll share them when we get back to Chiang Mai. I'll show my drawings. Thank you for asking. That's really nice. People showing interest is all I need. Thank you. So yeah, and the first night or the second night in Sayulita, Thoth basically did a walkabout through the city. Yes, very excited about going back to Bali. Very excited. Have some information, some news about that too. That's really exciting. So it was. I was overwhelmed by his intensity in this moment of him being in this ecstatic afterglow state, and we did a little performance in a little space in Sayulita for a minute, and someone came to see us who was a friend, actually somebody who had a necklace like this that was given to me by my friend Lars, who lives in LA, and I saw this necklace that she had, and I'm like, did you get this from Lars? Because, nobody else has these necklaces. And she said, yeah, oh my God, Lars. So she actually came and watched us and followed us around for a while. So we did a couple of performances in public, and there was a point in which I was done. I was tired, and I just wanted to have dinner and have a nice evening. And then he wanted to keep going. He just wanted to keep playing because he was in this ecstasy, the most intense ecstatic experience I've ever seen him in. And it was just the combination of being in Sayulita, which was just a magical place, and him being in Afterglow that was like this. He was just crazy. So because I'm very protective of him, I couldn't just leave him alone. I couldn't just, say, well, I'll see you later. I'm going to go have dinner. Call me. He doesn't have a phone. It's not like he has any way I could reach him. And he doesn't necessarily know where we're living or know how to get back home, which I probably should remedy. Every time we are somewhere, he should probably have the address in his pocketbook. But that's why he doesn't have a phone, and that's his choice, and I don't want him to have a phone if he doesn't want to have a phone. But it causes me to be extremely protective of him. So I couldn't just let him wander around and say, I'll see you later. And like a normal couple would. A normal couple would say, well, I want to do this, and you go do that, and I'll see you later. That's the a big aspect of what makes us so strange, is that I have the phone, and Thoth does not. And he does not want a phone. He does not want to have a phone. He doesn't want to deal with it. And I don't want him to do it if he doesn't want to. But it just causes us to be very, I have to keep him in sight at all times, because otherwise if he gets lost, if something happens, he's not going to know how to get home. He's not going to know how to find me. So yeah, so he just kept going, and like the Energizer Bunny, he was just going crazy, going and going and going. And I really just wanted to have dinner and relax, and I was irritated. I was just really irritated with him. I'm like, can't we just have a normal time together? Sometimes I really just want us to have kind of a normal experience, like we're having here in Bangkok. We didn't bring the violins purposefully. We're going to go out once I finish this live stream, just go out and have breakfast and wander around all day until we get tired again, and just chill, just kind of be. And Thoth will dance, and he might sing different places, but because we don't have the violins, he can't go and be seeking a performance spot, which is basically all what he does. in day-to-day life. So I don't remember exactly what happened, but I was just getting really irritated with him for being so wild and out of control. And I was hungry, of course. And I think we got to a point where I was like, could we just, bring the violins home, put things away, and just go get food, please? Because I'm tired, and if I can't leave you alone, we're going to have to stay together, and I have to just follow you around until you're done. And Thoth does not like getting stopped. He gets very irritated and very angry. And he used to get way more angry. Getting stopped from singing and playing is the thing that would give him the most. It was just something that really would irritate him. And I was technically trying to stop him from playing because I just wanted to relax and have a nice evening. And he wanted to play. And so I think we were walking across the street back to our apartment after I'd, been following him around for hours, as he was playing. And we kind of raised our voices at each other. And I can't remember, do you remember anything exactly what happened? No. I think I was making fun of him. I think I was mocking him because I was just so irritated and I just wanted to go to sleep and eat some food and go to bed. Okay, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thanks for staying. So yeah, it just became, I think he said something like, you don't understand, you're trying to stop me from doing my work. And I couldn't understand why he was so adamant to play so much. And I think we ended up going back around out to the beach, and he just sat on a rock and played for a really long time. And I just had to be patient and wait for him. And it was very late. It was getting later and later and later. But that was, and even the next day when we were in Sayulita the next day, he couldn't stop playing. He was just going, and he was we were headed over to get breakfast somewhere. And he couldn't just sit there with me and be with me. He had to play. And I think it was a moment in which I've never felt more irritated with him for just constantly wanting to play instead of just being able to be there with me, kind of, and be normal, whatever that means, and just exist with me and be part of just have the experience of being in Sayulita. But this ecstatic state that he gets into causes him to just endlessly want to play, and sometimes it's just too much for me, because I'm definitely not in an ecstatic state when he gets that way, And over the years I'm learning how to manage him when he gets like that he can do what he needs to do and I do what I need to do, even if we're together all the time. That I don't have to be jumping around and dancing when he is. I can just be there, and that I am valuable and worthy to just be, and that he can do what he wants. If he wants to dance and sing and do whatever. And to be honest, in the last year and a half or so, ever since we started traveling again and traveling so much, I've had more of a desire to kind of be quieter and not perform so much, and not street perform in the same way. And I've had to accept that Thoth still wants to play. He still wants to perform in public, and especially if he doesn't have the opportunity to do it indoors consistently, he really wants to do it, and he'll do it outdoors. And one of the things that's challenging about Southeast Asia is that busking, street performing, is not legal. So we're having to find different ways for him to be able to keep playing, which we've been doing these indoor, at-home, live stream practice sessions, which I'm sharing, and people are enjoying. So, and that's another aspect of me doing these live streams, is that I enjoy going live and telling stories and talking to people. That's not necessarily Thoth's thing. He will come and he's listening, he's there, but it's something I enjoy doing. And I think probably over the last year and a half, in particular, we've had this experience of kind of becoming our own people, and it's always a process. It's always a process because we're so connected and we're so deeply devoted to each other that sometimes we don't know who we are anymore because we get worried about each other, or it's like I said from the beginning, we're very human. Our relationship isn't perfect. It's not like we have this perfect, flawless, magical relationship. It's sometimes it gets messy, or we get codependent, or we struggle with things together. But the thing I find the most magical about our relationship is that we get along so well, and we're in this look at this tiny little room we're in. I mean, it's not a big space by any means, and usually, we've been in spaces that are smaller than this together, and stayed in them for quite a long time, together. In a room probably half the size, in Lisbon for months on end, when we would get bed bugs and just horror, just ugh. So we can handle. And we really just like being together. And I think the whole aspect of what makes our relationship really work is we've learned over time how to just let each other do what we want to do. Because, for example, I'm doing a live stream and he's drawing. And the practice for me is I can be a very controlling person. And I do have anxiety also. And Thoth is a very chill and relaxed human being. So I can struggle with my desire to be controlling. And to be honest, when we're traveling, like when we're in airports or when we're traveling places, I am quite controlling because he's like a little child. Thoth is very much a child in our relationship dynamic. He's very bubbly and energetic, and I'm very much, trying to figure things out and get us from point A to point B, and that's how we are. I really enjoy being, making decisions and making plans and figuring things out. That's that's how I contribute to our life together, and it's a great thing. Bunny, will you come show us your drawing? Please. They asked you.
People won't understand what I'm doing.
It doesn't matter. They asked you. They asked you. This person said, ask Thoth if he can show us what he's drawing. They asked you. Please?
It's what it is. It doesn't have any meaning.
Does it matter? These are his drawings.
Can you even tell what it is?
He's drawing left-handed. And he's doing perspective.
He stopped drawing right-handed.
Look at that. Isn't that cool? So what's funny about Thoth is he uses these little tiny pieces of paper. Why do you do that? Is it because you think that your drawings are not interesting or something?
Yes. What interest is it? It's a process of learning for me.
I see.
For people would be going, oh, well, what is this? But it's, I've improved a lot. I can draw very well with my left hand now. I can draw left and right. My whole goal is to be able to write in different languages with my right and left hand.
Wow. This person said, tell him I've been a fan since 2011. That's pretty amazing.
I'm coughing or to cough.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so we're going to go out and explore Bangkok today and see. I will report back to you tomorrow with our findings. Yeah, Bali is very exciting. It looks like we're going to have a 2-bedroom in Bali for a very reasonable price, which is very exciting. Our host, Kadik, who we lived with for the first 2 months, a few months ago, he has a contact with a place that has a 2-bedroom with a pool and everything. So he's going to go look at that today and report back with photos and everything. And that's been a dream of mine, is to have a 2-bedroom space that's reasonably priced so we can have people come visit us, friends and family. And we've never had the ability to have people come visit us or stay with us because, we've always been running from place to place or having very small homes. So really excited about that. And I'm really grateful to our host for helping us with that. And what a crazy life we live. Anyway, thank you all, the ones who've stuck around and listened. It really means a lot to me. I hope you all have a good evening or day or wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you. If you have any questions or comments, just let me know.